Welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige Gray. If you're new here, I'm an interior designer working from my home on Vancouver Island. I specialize in all sorts of unique, rugged landscape interior design projects all along our coastline. Today, I'm taking you along step by step as I redesign a very beautiful space, a unique space I've not done before. It is a hair studio in Powell River, who happens to also be my personal stylist. I will link her Instagram down below and you can go and check out her space. Let's get to designing this beautiful studio. Together, we chatted about the space's potential and came up with 5 key goals that we wanted to accomplish in this redesign. The space as it stands isn't providing her the level of storage that she needs, which is quite ample. Once we investigated all of the programs of her current storage solutions, there were many holes to fill in the ways that she was functioning in the space, how she herself, as the stylist in her own studio, was moving around it. One of her top priorities was an actual color bar, a properly integrated storage system that would allow her to mix colors at ease. Secondly, there was a lot of wasted space for multiple sinks. Given that this is a home studio, she does have the option of her own kitchen sink just a few mere steps outside of the door. Thirdly, we wanted to really utilize and implement proper retail space. As it stands, she has retail strickled throughout her entire space, and as a client sitting myself in her chair, I always found it quite difficult to discern which was product that I could actually purchase myself and what product was just being used in her studio space as a working professional. Number 4 was ambience. We wanted to have a really luxurious coastal feeling. It's written right in the name itself, Coastal Hair Studio. Everything about your experience here is luxe and divine, and everything in the interiors should also reflect this brand experience. We plan to take this on with materiality and form, and by making every line in the space as long as possible. Not only does this give us plenty of room to work with things like tiles and wall paneling and drapery, but it also makes the space feel as expansive as possible. After we discussed all of the principal goals, Samantha sheepishly said it would be really nice to have a space for my future clients to come and sit and rest before they come into the chair. Her clients sometimes overlap in time slots and it can be a little bit awkward in the current setup. I am excited to announce we were able to make a front entry and a proper pay station as a front desk scenario, as well as integrating a second retail space right there for when clients are waiting. Let's dive into it.
When I start a new project, especially something like this salon, the very first thing I do is build the foundation in scale. It's not the glamorous part, no bold colors or statement lighting just yet, but it's the scaffolding that everything else hangs on. Here's the truth about design: the balance between creativity and logistics is often misrepresented. People imagine mood boards and Pinterest-worthy inspiration, but practically, my job is 99% function and maybe 1% fun. That's why scale matters so much. When the foundation is precise, it becomes my filter. It shows me which ideas are possible and which ones are beautiful but impractical. It's the framework that keeps me honest and allows me to let creativity flow without ever losing sight of execution. This part of the process is quiet, detailed, and a little nerdy, but it's what makes everything else possible. Before the paint swatches, before the fabric samples, before the sparkle, it starts here with a solid structure that can carry all the weight of the vision.
Starting off in the corner with the laundry, the washer and dryer are already plumbed in. We're going to utilize some IKEA storage above the washer and dryer. That is going to give ample storage for things like extra paper towels. We are going to separate the laundry situation from the studio itself. We want to make this space feel as commercial and luxurious as possible. We're going to utilize some very easy to install Home Depot wall panels. And the screaming elephant in the room is that the washer and dryer being right in the center of it all isn't exactly giving the vibe that we're after. We're going to create a little bit of a divider between the washer and dryer and where the sink area is. As it stands, there are 2 sinks, and we're going to shift the sink with the chair over to the sink where it currently is just a sink. We're going to close up the plumbing for the second sink. She's asked for more space for her body to physically function next to the sink itself. Sometimes it does come down to a bit of a compromise. You want to look at your priorities and say, would I rather A or B? And in this case, having a little bit more foot space to walk around while she's styling hair in the sink was a priority over having a second sink to wash bowls. Beside the sink, we've added a narrow drawer. This is a 15-inch deep base from IKEA. IKEA is lovely. It is not only budget-friendly and really easy for lots of people to acquire and get to their homes and install themselves. It's also just super cost-effective. And there are options where you can get semi-custom fronts made for IKEA bases that make the whole thing look a little bit more tailored. We're going to introduce that wall paneling over onto the other side. Currently, this is a closet that she's using for household goods because this is also an entry for her personal home. Inside of this closet is mostly just bins and recycling and a whole ton of extra retail product that doesn't need to be seen on a daily basis. We're going to utilize this wall paneling and have our contractor go in and tailor it to meet the doors itself. By removing the trim around the door and on the base of the floor, we're going to be able to take this paneling up and over the door, and with a slight variance in a seam where you're going to see around the door itself, when those doors are closed, it's just going to behave like a wall. And with that, we're going to give a proper seating area for people to come and sit and wait. By adding a bench that she can easily move to the side during closing time to be able to access her broom and her household vacuum, during working hours, it gives her a permanent place for clients to land. Moving around to the entry, we're going to utilize a very fun piece of furniture that I found through Wayfair. It is this curved front piece, and the dimensions of it fit perfectly to line up with another 15-inch deep IKEA base unit to make a full depth counter. The following drawers that we're going to put for her professional color bar mixing area are actually full depth IKEA base units from the kitchen section. Not only do you get a fully extending drawer for this, but in my opinion, it is just the most optimal storage for drawers that IKEA has. With this, we have space now for a full set of uppers. By removing the mirror from this corner, which we're going to get to some creative solutions for the mirror later on, we were able to make a very traditional color bar station. She really wanted to be able to open a cupboard and see all of her colors up above, have all of her mixing equipment down below, and have a nice clean space to make the magic happen. Not only do we now have ample drawer storage for things like color, we also have a formal entrance where you can keep everything like your receipts and your books and also your POS machine. No longer are clients sitting in the chair to pay. It is much more of an experience to come back to the front, to be welcomed with another array of retail goods and pay your bill before you leave. All while not interrupting the person who's waiting for their next appointment, I might add. I had originally played around with the chair facing the doors and having a mirror set on the walls. This didn't really offer the best flow in terms of where Samantha herself was moving throughout this space. It left big open expanses in the middle of the room that weren't being properly utilized. Not to mention, as soon as I put a mirror on the one floor-to-ceiling wall that we have, I'm losing all of that opportunity to display retail products. So what I did is I scoured the internet and found a beautiful illuminated oval mirror. Not only does this line up perfectly with where her existing electrical is, the footprint of the chair moving over slightly in front of the window gives us the space to have that full bank of drawers and a proper front desk. Immediately, the mirror floating in the room needed a little bit of direction. I wanted to ensure, for safety reasons, that people weren't going to accidentally bump into this mirror. Putting a free-floating piece of furniture not only adds more storage for her, but it also allows people to navigate around the room safely. Being that this is an illuminated mirror, you are now able to play with light in all these different ways. And with a window set right behind it, what we're going to do is add a sheer layer of curtains so that not only is the light coming through the window softened, but also the nice sheer fabric gives something for the mirror to really bounce off of. We're going to add a couple retail shelving units in here, nothing expansive, but just perfectly placed so that while you're getting your hair styled, you can't help but look over at all the beautiful items she has for sale. Last but not least, we are going to replace lighting. I love a big woven wicker light, and that is what we are implementing in this case. And then by mirroring the draperies over in front of the washer and dryer, when it's in use, I would encourage anybody putting drapes in front of a washer and dryer, have that open so that you have good air circulation. But during the workday, the machines themselves are not actually in commission, and so we're going to tuck them out of sight, out of mind. Also repeating a beautiful fabric element to the other side of the room. Now, all of Samantha's inspiration photos had beautiful tile in them. This is going to be one of the highest investment pieces for her space, but it is also going to be a showstopper. What we're going to do is apply a floor-to-ceiling blue Zelige tile all across this back sink wall. We're going to wrap it around to meet the front of the closet, and that way this becomes its own little feature nook. Samantha has a blue wall in her studio currently, and she wanted to keep the idea of featuring color in her space, and I feel like tile is the perfect way to do it. Now, Samantha is young, and this may not be their forever home, so everything I've designed here, other than the things that are attached to the wall, can be picked up and moved along to her future studio space, leaving behind the bones and structure of a really snazzy laundry room for the next occupants. If you've enjoyed this style of content with everything behind the scenes and 3D modeling brought to life right before your eyes, there are many more videos like this on my channel. Be sure to subscribe, it means more than you know, and if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, you can go check me out at Paige Gray Studios. It's where I share my life, the ongoings of everything interior design, and the chaos that goes on between being a mom and a businesswoman and living life in our beautiful West Coast. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go watch this next video together.